to teach you guys how to wheelie a pedal bike. So everybody who clicked on this probably does not know how to wheelie, or they can't like use their brake and like feather the brake and go long distances. Alright guys, so let's go over seat height real quick. So you want your seat to be not too high and not too low. The reason for that is that if your seat is too low, when you sit down, your center of gravity is going to be too low, and you're just going to be chasing your wheelie, when I'll demonstrate later in the video. So the reason why you want your seat to be higher than normal is so then when you pop the bike up, you get that like torque from your legs and you'll be able to wheelie. Alright, next let's go over your brake setup. So when you're up in your wheelie, you just barely want to touch your brake. Like barely. So what I tell all my friends, like, don't even have your fingers on the front brake, because when the front wheel is spinning, it creates a gyroscopic effect and it keeps you balanced, and you don't want to tilt. Now for your gearing, I like it, this is different for every bike. So on the bigger gear where your feet are, I like mine on 2, and for the little fine adjustments, that would be these gearings right here. I like them on the middle. Let's talk about tire pressure. So I set mine to 45 psi. That is a little high, but just make sure it's not soft, but make sure it's kind of stiff. And a lot of people don't talk about tire pressure, but in my opinion, it helps a lot with me when I'm wheeling. Because one time I had my tire pressure was at 20 psi, and I couldn't keep the wheel up because the tire was basically flat. So I pumped it up and I could wheelie just about all the way down my street. Enough talking, now let me show you how to wheelie. Alright guys, so first, let me show you guys what not to do and what to do. So don't do this, like don't just chase your wheelie. So when you're up in your wheelie, you feather the brake like that. You don't squeeze it, you just barely tap it. And what that does is, when you start to fall back, you tap it and sets your front end in the right way. Alright guys, so when you're getting ready to pop up the bike, make sure you go over the handlebars, and your dominant foot, your strongest foot, is at right here. Then you go, then you pull up over the handlebars, dominant foot into a wheelie, and you just tap that brake. Same thing again, and I want you guys to do that 20 times and just get used to popping up. Alright, that'll be an end to this wheelie tutorial. I hope you like it and will not need another wheelie tutorial. And lay off on the comments, because this is my first long form video. And please like, comment, and subscribe.